So, I'm back now, and following on from the last video, I'm just going to remove this echoing out the item ID. So, what we're now going to do is we're going to run a MySQL query to get information about the item. So we'll make the query, and what this query will be doing, and what we'll be checking to make sure that, firstly, the item type is in fact food, because we don't want someone to change things and start eating other things that are not allowed to eat. And if it is true, if it is food, then we're going to use the HP value to replenish our own health, and then we're going to remove the items from the database. So I'll be back in a few minutes. Right, so the query's simple. We execute the query, and then we return the results into the row variable. Now we're checking if row type is equal to food, then we're good to eat the item and restore our health. So what we're doing is we're taking the value of the item's HP that it restores and adding it onto our current user HP. If the user HP is more than the user's maximum HP, you need to make sure that our players table is set to have our HP equal to our maximum HP, rather than our HP plus what the item gives us. So here, what we're going to do is, if the user HP plus the item's HP is more than the user's maximum HP, then we're going to set the HP equal to max HP. Else we set the HP equal to the HP plus the item's HP. So this one is a simple query. Well, they're both simple queries really, but if we're setting the user's HP to user's maximum HP, we just want to update players table and set the user HP equal to the user max HP, where user ID equals session user ID, limit that to 1, and execute the query. And the same principle applies to setting the user's HP. If it's not above the user's max HP, we just set the user HP to the user HP plus the row the item's HP, where the user ID equals user ID limit 1. So let's see how that goes. We go back over to here. Our current HP is 67, and before we exit out of this, I'm going to reset the user's HP to equal, depending on, let's get rid of that. So if I'm going to set the user's HP equal to the user HP plus the item's HP, and this will update our in our little sidebar where our stats are held. So, save that. Okay, user ID equals a session. Oh, hold on a minute. Okay, I was calling up ID where ID equals ID and not item ID. So we come back here. So it's still wrong. Okay, right. So if we eat grapes, our HP is currently 45, and it will restore 6 HP. So our current HP will end up being 51. So we eat, and it's updated. We're restoring our stats now. So we keep eating, and if we add 6 HP onto 63, our HP will end up going to 69, but as we've only got a maximum HP of 67, if we eat one more grapes, we will hit our maximum HP, and this shouldn't go over 67. And there we go. So 67 out of 67, we can eat as many as we want, but our HP won't continue to go up because our user HP is trying to go past our maximum HP. So next thing we need to do is remove an item once it's been used. And it can be as simple as just updating the table and removing the item, removing 1 from the quantity. But if we hit 0, the quantity ends up being 0. We need to delete the item. So the way we're going to do this is, well, what I'm going to do is, in a bid to save time, I've written out the code, and I'm going to just run through it with you and explain the steps. So I have extended this query, and what I'm now returning is the game item's HP and its type, but like we did previously to get the item, the complete item data when we listed our items, I'm using another join. This time I'm using a left join, and inside this join I'm running a subquery, and what I'm doing in that subquery is I'm selecting the player items item ID and the player items quantity from the player items table, where the item ID equals the item ID and the user ID equals our session user ID, and this ensures that we get the correct quantity for our character, or for the right character. We're then limiting it to 1, and we're giving the alias that temporary table an alias of player items, and then we're linking it using on from the game items ID to the player items item ID. Right. So we then execute that query, and again this whole section here stays the same, and that's fine. But down here we've got if row quantity equals 1. So if the current quantity for that item is 1, then we know we need to then delete the item from the database to prevent people using items continuously. So if it equals 1, we then delete the item. Else we want to just remove 1 from the quantity. So we've got here, we're updating the player's items, and we're setting quantity to equal a quantity minus 1, where the user ID equals user ID and item ID equals item ID. So if we go ahead and test that now, as you can see here, right, we've got I've altered the database, and we've now got 10 apples. So each time I use one, the quantity goes down. Now if I continue to use them, what we should find is apple should be removed from this list. Now, you see, apple has gone. It's no longer in our database. Again, berries, we've got 2, and it's gone. And grapes, remove that. And it doesn't matter if we try reloading the page, because that item no longer exists in the database. It's just calling up that when it comes to row type, it equals null. So, and we're not returning it, we're not providing any else statement. So if it doesn't equal food, which null doesn't, then it just skips over this whole section here, and there's no health added, and there's no items removed. Right, so I'm going to leave it there. Next time we're going to look at equipment. Until then, I'll see you around.